Accept and ignore, just kicking down all the doors. Guarantee you, boy, if I ask for it, it's gotta be real big. I gotta make it just for my kids, and for their kids, it's kids. That's wealth, years and years. Promise my brother, soon as he out and finished his bid, we finna do it bigger than anybody ever did. The odds is real big, jobs that's real big. Satan trying a little, my God is real big. Stayed up on the grind on the cars is real big. I gotta do it big, the only way that I can live. And I promise I'm trying to. Before you count me out, homie, let me remind you, they was blocking the shine. Now I think it's my time to. Counting them dollar signs like lights, they'll blind you. Let me rewind to back when I was broke and I couldn't acquire 2 cents, and now I got 2 rents. They was sleeping on me, homie, must have got too big. Call my phone, I be like, who this? Damn right, hell yeah, I'm brand new. Smell like can too. I'm fresh forever like canned food. Try and tell me what I can't do. I wanna see the world, my vision on Shamu. That mean I got goals that's real big, foes that's real big. You're offer too little, sorry, my soul is real.
All right, happy Saturday. Thank you everybody for tuning in to this awesome episode that we will be having tonight. It will be very informative, so please feel free to ask questions as we go through. Tonight, of course, our trusty troublemaker is not with us tonight. He is working, so we are having a whole girls party without him. So yay, yeah. So of course, we were out last week due to somebody's birthday weekend, and somebody was a little too tipsy to have been podcasting.
I was dead.
Yeah. So yeah.
But I'm here now, and I'm
yeah.
No drinks.
Yeah, definitely. So of course, we had this awesome person on with us last year, and the conversation was amazing, and everybody definitely loved her. So of course we had to bring her back. So we have Dr. Ken back in the building tonight.
Hi. Thank you for having me back. I really enjoyed it last time, so thank you.
Most definitely. I think that was probably about one of our most talked about episodes.
Really?
It was. And the funny thing, I heard it so much from the guys. The guys was just like overflowed with, man, she said this and she says this and this and this. And it was like the whole topic for like 2 weeks was pH. Man, I'm gonna go tell them this. Say, I think your pH is off. I was like, I'm gonna need you not to be walking around telling nobody that like that. The guys was on a whole different cloud with that.
I love it. I just did a video for guys just yesterday. Things that they needed to know about pH. Yes, I'm glad.
Yes, they definitely loved it, and they would, like I say, you could tell that it was good information for them, because of course a lot of them have daughters, and they're like, oh, we needed this because we need to know. Not only that, you got significant other, or if you're dating somebody, right? So it was just like information that was given to them that you knew they got something from. It was like, okay, I remember this. She said this. So
Great.
It was that it actually stuck with them. So that was like super amazing, and I was glad for that, because that episode was amazing. I was like, hey, okay, cool business. I'm glad. So of course, because we just had a ball on there, told you we would definitely have you back. So yes, definitely had to do it, especially with this topic.
Yes.
This topic seems like, I know for me, I'm seeing it more and more and more lately. A lot of people are dealing with fibroids. I know in December, after my episode that I had over the summer where my blood was about gone, it was like, ooh, where did it go? That little surprise. It was like, okay, now we have to investigate. We have to figure out what happened. So one of the things they had me do was to get tested to see if I had fibroids. Turn out, yes, I did. So I'm like, ain't this okay? Well, here we go. Where we go from here? That was the beginning, the journey of where do we go from here. And depending who your OBGYN or that is, it's going to determine where you go from there, whether if they care or if they just try to get a little extra money in their
Yep.
And I have nicely discovered that. So
some of them are real knife happy.
Man, real like they killers or something. I do want that though, for real. I want it. I don't need you to try to cut that. I want that. So, what are fibroids?
So fibroids are just like this. They're benign. They're extra growths. They just come from a lot of inflammation. They're more of an inconvenience because they're not cancerous. So they can grow within the uterus, they can grow within the cavity of the uterus, they can grow within the walls of the uterus, and they can grow on the outside of the uterus. And they can cause a whole lot of problems, or they can cause no problems at all. So most people are going to be asymptomatic, no symptoms at all. But they're not cancerous. And there's some that can turn into cancer, but that's like less than 1% that's going to turn into cancer. So they're really, really common. Especially in African American women. I think the statistic is over 60% of Black women will have at least one fibroid by the time they're like 50.
I was reading on that because I know years back, first thing I heard is Black women get them. Black women get them. I'm like, and then then it was like, okay, Black women get them, and the reason Black women get them, they were saying because of the perms that we were putting in our hair.
I don't think so. I think perms are causing a lot of cancer cells in the body. I believe fibroids are a lot of times caused by our diet, the things that we're eating as far as inflammatory foods, the dairy that we eat. If you think about like, I always tell people, think about a cow, and the way back in the day, our great grandparents weren't going through this because there were cows here in the field and they milk them and they whatever. But the cow industry, the dairy industry now, they're pumping up these cows with hormones in order for them to continuously reproduce and artificially inseminate them. These are the same cows that we're getting dairy from, the same cows that we're getting the offspring of those cows. We're getting these things with all of these hormones. And so now we're taking in a whole bunch more hormones than we would have normally taken in. And so that to me has an effect on it. And when you think about the GMOs and the food, the inflammatory foods that we eat, our diet, and the sugars that we eat, we have a high sugar diet here in the US. So that to me, those things contribute more than the relaxers that we put in our hair. Now, I'm not saying the relaxers aren't causing problems. I think they are causing cancer. But when it comes to fibroids and everything with our reproductive system, I believe that's all diet related. In addition to just hereditary and things that's going to happen anyway. But I think it's increased because of our diet.
Yeah, because I saw something on there that said when it came down, there was a specific part that I read, and it said the ancestral part for when it came down to African Americans, and it said the African ancestry is considered a key risk factor for the development of fibroids.
Yes, it is, and it's just. But it makes you wonder, is it because of something in our genetics, or is it because of behaviors that most of us are participating in? That's how I look at most health conditions that they say, or we're at higher risk. When you think about high blood pressure, you're at high risk if you're African American. But when you look at it, what's the things that's adding to that? That's making us at higher risk. I think some of it has to do with genetics when it comes to blood pressure, but some of it has to do with, look at the African American diet. So compared to, we like to say white folks don't season stuff. And we might be overly seasoning things. So sometimes you got to look at the behaviors.
Yeah.
Look,
Look, yeah, as you know.
the ancestors say stop.
Yeah, what's that? That one of the chefs that is on IG that I watch. If you ain't sneezing, it ain't seasoned.
Look, we just said that because my boyfriend boiled. I'm in Louisiana. We boil crawfish, and somebody just used that phrase today because I was like, if it's not spicy, I don't want it. And it was like, if you're not seasoning, it ain't seasoned. So yeah, we just literally used that phrase today, but that's how we feel. But that is contributing to our blood pressure issues. We're already salt retainers. That's the part that I think is genetic, is we're salt retainers, but we're already retaining the salt just because that's who we are. But we continue to eat more than everybody else. So
yeah. I actually had that happen this week at work. One of the girls was complaining that I didn't season the taco meat enough. So here she goes with this heavy hand, and she's in there.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, baby, is you gonna sprinkle all the salt on there? Like,
just
like,
attention.
You finna turn 41. You really want to? And she said, well, I know you got to season a certain way for the kids, but I just, okay. That gonna come back and bite you in a minute. You baby, you hitting your 40s and you heavy with the salt. You gotta add extra with everything. Like, you go know.
High blood pressure.
And that ain't no joke. It is not a fun ride. No. And she already got the swelling going on her feet, and I was looking at, I was like, but you
see that she's already showing signs. So if she's swelling already, she probably got high blood pressure.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
She's retaining the salt already.
Yeah. And then don't like to drink water.
Oh yeah. We know what her issue is.
Yeah. So that definitely, because when you do look at our diets, the majority of African American diet is fried. Fried chicken, fried pork chops. And I know even with my job, when we have pork chop day, I hate it. I can't fry the kids' food, so theirs is baked. But I have to turn around and fry the employees' food. If it ain't fried, it's going to be a problem. And then I have to turn around and make gravy. If I don't make no gravy, it's a problem.
Yeah. So you got to think about that. That's how our diet is. And it's just, that's contributing to a lot of things. And so when I always start with, whenever I start with treatment of anything, I always start with diet. And they're like, why are you always talking about diet? Because we have the things that are causing us issues started with our diet. Our diet is the cause of most of these issues. So we have to catch it where the root cause is. So we got to fix this problem before we start adding, artificial treatments to it. Let's fix the root cause, and maybe we won't need the artificial treatment. We won't need the medication. So let's start with the root cause. But people don't want to do that. It's like you're either stuck in your ways, you want to be lazy because you don't want to do certain things, or you just like, a lot of people just don't want to change. And a lot of people just want to take the medication, or they just want the easy route. And it's like, let me get the easy route and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And that's, unfortunately, that's how a lot of people are. So when I hear the ones that say, those doctors want us to just spend money and they want us to do this, but they never told us how to do this. Yes, we tell you all the time, but nobody wants to hear it. Now you're in your moment of truth. Now you all woke and you feel like, oh, they're not telling us this and they want us to do this. That's probably one of the first things they told you, but you didn't want to hear that. So it's just, we got to open our eyes and start seeing that a lot of the things that are happening to us, it's happening because of our behaviors. And it's not, like sometimes people don't want to take on that blame, and I tell them it's not our fault. This is the world that we're in. So once we have acknowledged it and we see it, we can let the blame go and say, okay, it's not our fault, but it's going to be our fault from this point on if we continue to do those things and we know better.
Exactly. So what are some symptoms of fibroids?
So you have your most common symptoms of fibroids are going to be like your heavy bleeding, your heavy menstrual bleeding, or prolonged periods. really bad, heavy cramping and pelvic pain. Some people will have, if they have larger fibroids and it's pressing on certain things, they'll have like bladder issues. Some people will actually have, protruding bellies because of the fibroids on the outside of the uterus and it's pushing on things. There is anemia because the fibroids a lot of times will take a blood supply and they're like just feeding off your blood supply. So you can have anemia. You can have anemia from the heavy bleeding. But those are your more common symptoms that you're going to have. Most people are going to know that they have fibroids based on that heavy bleeding or cramping or the anemia, like you found out through anemia.
The bad way.
Yeah.
Trip to the emergency room. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then you got to consider those symptoms of anemia. I had a coworker. She was having symptoms of anemia. And I was like, I think she knew she was anemic. And she got down, her H&H was so low. She needed, I think, 4 bags of blood. Ended up having surgery emergently in the hospital because after they gave her the blood, then they figure out how bad the fibroids were. And so she ended up having to have the surgery for the fibroids. But she didn't have the symptoms. She didn't know. She had heavy bleeding with her periods, but that was her only symptom. She didn't have a lot of cramping. She just had heavy bleeding. So she just didn't think anything of it because she had always had heavy bleeding. So her major thing was finding out, through being severely anemic.
Wow.
Very dark-skinned girl, beautiful chocolate skin. She started looking great. To say, and I had never seen anything like that in my life because I always like admired her skin color. It was always chocolate and just pretty. And she's very dark-skinned, chocolate pretty girl, but it just started looking weird looking. And I was just like, you sure you're okay? You don't look right. It just looks different. Like she just looked great. So I'm guessing in a lighter skinned person, it would have been easier to tell. But for her, it just she started looking great looking.
Wow.
Whoa. Wow. Yeah, because even with me, I think I overlooked my symptoms because for me, with being having insomnia, I just chopped it up to me being tired and not sleeping. And even when I noticed the changes of going grocery shopping and I'm getting the groceries out of the car and I bring some groceries in, I'm bringing down and I got to sit down to catch my breath. Like, yeah, and I'm still chopping it up. So, okay, I am really had, a couple hours of sleep because, I don't sleep. So that's how I was justifying mine. And like, okay, I'm sure it's just because I really haven't been sleeping in that time. That's really what was going on. So, but then they got to that point and I'm like, damn, okay, I know. I didn't think I was this bad out of shape. So suddenly I was just doing grocery shopping deliveries. And that was like it was all of a sudden. And I was like, oh, damn. So
that's a symptom that a lot of people need, they blow off and they need to pay attention to. When you feel like your exercise tolerance is lower than it's ever been, like you feel like just walking, you're feeling out of breath, you're feeling like really just heavy and tired, that's a symptom of something. And I tell people, like, when you feel stuff like that, if you're not dehydrated, you didn't drink enough water, or you didn't eat, and you notice, okay, I've been drinking water, I ate, this is persisting for more than a few days, that's something you need to get evaluated for, because that's a sign of serious things. That could be a sign of a heart issue. That could be a sign of anemia. That could be a sign. So it could be major, like a heart issue. Like your heart may not be pumping the way it's supposed to be pumping, and you may not know. So, that's something people should take seriously when you start feeling like, okay, just carrying these groceries from here to there have me tired. That's not right.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, I know that was the last thing that was in my mind. So when it was suggested, I was like, nah. And she's like, are you having hairy cycles? I'm like, no. And at that point, I wasn't. I didn't start having heavy cycles until like months later, like down the line after I actually went to the appointment and discovered I had fibroids. It was like, what the hell did y'all do? Open the floodgates? Because damn, like the hell is going on? So it was like a totally different thing, but then it led to me. I think I get tested every couple of months to make sure that my blood is still where it needs to be and hasn't dropped. So yeah, I'm like, hell, I'm gonna be out of blood because I have to go get all these damn tests every couple of damn months. That's where my blood is going. But just even now being so aware of, you know, making sure that it's up, because even when it is up now and they're like, well, you can stop taking your iron pills. I'm like, oh shit, no, I can't. Nope. I don't refill that medicine. Nope, I am not trying to have part 2 of that. I'll pass.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I'm good on that. So we talk about the heavy bleeding. What is an example, or how can you rationalize, I guess, heavy bleeding?
That's always a hard one for me to explain. Changing pads every hour. That's heavy bleeding. There's people that are changing pads every hour on the hour. I've seen people are changing pads twice an hour, changing tampons, you know, every hour, 2 hours, because tampons can last with 4 or 6 hours. I haven't used tampons in so long, but yeah, they can last about 4 or 6 hours. Or if you have a cup, your cup's not lasting more than 3 hours. Like that's heavy bleeding. So there's people that are having those times where, and there's people that have like endometriosis or other issues that are heavy bleeders like that as well. So, but changing a pad every hour, that's not normal. You shouldn't have to change a pad every hour on the hour. And a lot of those people, they'll see
oh my God,
the super absorbency pads, they're changing every hour.
Yeah.
You also see a lot of large clots. So you get a lot of cramping with the very large clots. You'll have really heavy cramps. But you should not be changing. I always tell people that's not a normal thing to change your pads every hour.
Definitely. Yeah, because I see what Hope put on there, the experiencing of blood clots. Yeah. That should make your skin crawl. You're like, bitch, I'm dying. What is going on? Like that's a whole nother level of experience. Is like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Say that definitely does not
mean. They have bleeding that's like they're urinating. It's just flowing. That's not normal.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I've had a few people tell me that type of blood, and I'm like, that's not that's not normal. I see she asked about polycystic ovarian syndrome. That's a totally different subject. That's one of my favorite subjects to talk about, but that's totally different from the fibroids.
Yeah. If you want to answer that, you can answer it though.
Oh, that's a whole Pandora's box. I got about a bunch of videos on that. Like it's one of my favorite things to talk about, but it's a lot. It's not considered like it's a misnomer because it's called polycystic ovarian syndrome, but it doesn't mean that you have cysts. You don't even have to have cysts to have the syndrome, or you can have cysts and not have the syndrome. So it's a syndrome, and it's like a group of symptoms that you may have that range from like your irregular cycle to no cycle at all. So you're not ovulating the way you're supposed to be, weight gain, difficulty losing weight, hair loss, hair growth on your face, acne. So it's a bunch of different things all together with polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Yeah, and that's another one that seems like almost to a point like it's a African American.
It's you know why it seems? Because it's associated with obesity, and many of us are considered obese even when we fine as hell. So like we get it.
Yeah.
So it's associated with insulin resistance, and so again, that's us. We like to eat, so that's why you see that in a lot of African Americans. But again, that's another one that can be fixed with diet. It's a little hard, but it can be fixed.
Yeah. Santi's one of them babies from Pecos. Yeah. Once I started exercising, it was like, whoo, How y'all doing? Like, bruh, for real? Yeah, it was he was that kid. Like I struggled. My kids are what? She was 13 when I had him. So yeah, there's like a 13-year difference in between my kids. And I got fertility tested, everything. It was like, no, you're good. Everything's great. And then when I got to the point and I got the case of the fuckies, I was like, you know what? Obviously, I'm not gonna have another one. Just fine. Got in the gym, started dropping.
Yep.
Ta-da! Here comes baby. I'm like, I know you playing. Bro, I didn't got fine and here you come. Like, for real.
You got everything together. So you fixed the insulin resistance, whatever was going on there, and that triggered you to start ovulating the way you were supposed to, and you fixed it. Like it's that's what happened.
Man. And you know, it's funny. I see a lot of the trainers, especially the guy trainers. One that we watch, Ryan, and he's on there, and he every time he gets somebody where they're supposed to be, and then they come up pregnant, and he's sick, but he don't realize, bro, you just taking them to where they're supposed to be. It's a celebration. Just in a different form because you're getting them out into a healthier space. Yeah, they're getting a baby out of it, but you're getting them into a healthier space. So it's a whole different pat on the back. It just got a baby with it.
You just didn't realize that you just did something.
Yeah.
You just created life, sir.
Exactly. So it's that totally different thing. But as diet keeps coming up in this conversation with everything, I know that you had done a video before. Mm-hmm. So what is the diet that can help with fibroids?
Okay, so first you want to look, let me grab my notes so I can remember, don't forget anything. First, you want to avoid certain things. Like remember I told you about the dairy. So decreasing your dairy intake is going to be number one. Like the milks and the cheeses and things like that. Decreasing that. I know it's good, it tastes good, but that's going to be because that's bringing in exogenous hormones that you don't need. So you want to decrease that. And if you're going to do any of it, try to go organic where, at least that's going to be on another, you're not doing so much of the hormones. Second thing is you're going to decrease any refined sugars and carbs because all of those things are now adding to it. That's going to increase like any hormonal fluctuations that will increase the growth of fibroids. So that's the things you're going to remove. So processed foods, sugars, dairy, because all of those increase inflammation and increase growth. You're going to also limit alcohol. I know a lot of people are not going to want to hear that, but alcohol increases inflammation. It also decreases your immunity function, so you want to decrease those things. And then you want to decrease caffeine because caffeine is also having some hormonal issues. So a lot of people are like, what? I got to decrease my caffeine. What'd you say?
All right, Pinks? I'm like, are you all right, Pinks? The facial expression, I did caught on a couple of things.
Look, I had to look. My they say caffeine free, but I ain't got the sugar in it. So
so decreasing the caffeine. So I put my list out for the things that you got to eat more of. So because I know those are things that you definitely want to decrease as much as possible because those are the things that's gonna just keep everything out of whack. So what do you need to eat more of? You got to do more green leafy vegetables. So that's going to help you with inflammation. Green leafy vegetables are full of vitamin K. So that's going to help with like the clotting and control bleeding. So you're not going to bleed as heavy when you're eating those green leafy vegetables. So like your spinach and things like that, like that's where you get that iron and all those things from. So you want to increase those. Cruciferous vegetables like your broccoli and your cauliflower and cabbage, those are going to help to balance your estrogen. So you need to increase those. Carrots, spinach, and kale. Those because they have beta carotene, and that's going to help your repair your tissues, and that's going to help to treat the fibroids themselves is by eating those ones with high with the beta carotene and I think vitamin A. Yeah. Iron's going to help with the heavy periods. And then you can do certain supplements. Supplements wise, you want to do flaxseed. Flaxseed is amazing when it comes to balancing estrogen levels, and that's going to help to shrink the fibroids. So instead of you getting birth control or being on a contraceptive that has estrogen in there, you can now do something that's going to increase your normal production, balance your normal production of estrogen. So you're going to have flaxseed. So you can do that like you can put that in your food. You can do the little supplements. And then flaxseed also decreases inflammation. Vitex or chasteberry. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that.
Nope, never heard of that.
Chasteberry. They have chasteberry tea. They come in capsules. What that does is that decreases estrogen levels. So that helps to shrink them. That helps because a lot of times your estrogen levels are just all over the place. And so you need to override, and so that you're coming in there to balance everything out. So Vitex would help with that. Fish oil helps to decrease inflammation. B complex, so all your B vitamins, that's going to help regulate your estrogen levels. And then other ways to balance the hormones naturally. Let's see, you got the chasteberry, herbal teas like dandelion root and stuff like that. What else? Fish oil, flaxseed. I'm trying to think about what else. Milk thistle. And that's all I can think about right now. I'm trying to think. I thought I wrote some more down. But those are going to help you naturally with your fibroids.
What was L-theanine, or what was that before? Because I know I've heard you use that one before, mention it for something on your lives.
Which one?
The L-theanine before. I know I bought some. I can't think of what.
L-theanine can't be the L-theanine.
What was that one? I know
that
it was something.
That L-theanine helps with like anxiety, helps relax you, helps with sleep. I'm trying to think. I wrote some down somewhere. Other supplements that you can take, but I did the video on TikTok that had a bunch of them. But for most people, like I said, I would do flaxseed. I would do the fish oil, and trying to eat more of those vegetables. Wait, I know what I got it written somewhere. Let me hold up. Let me find it.
Okay, go ahead. Because I'm curious how I guess the person that does not eat vegetables would have to go into the supplements version.
I'm trying to figure out a way to say this in the best way possible. Grow the F up. It's time that if you got to eat vegetables, like we have to eat the things that are going to help us. So at that point, I'm telling them to grow up. Like we got to eat the things. What happened to her? She disappeared?
Oh no, I was just blowing her up because she's the person I was talking about.
She childish as hell. That's why. You need to grow up, ma'am.
Oh, you were being petty. Oh my God. I was like, what happened? Yeah, like at that point, I really tell my patients this. When I talk to my patients, like they're my family. And they're like, well, I don't eat vegetables. And I'm like, you 30-something years old, it's time for you to grow up. Like, I can understand you saying that at 20. I can understand you say that at 25. At some point, we have to realize that, like, we have to eat the things that's best for our body. We were created to eat the things that came from the earth. And we are constantly eating the things that are processed in the labs. And we look at the things that we were supposed to eat, that were created for us to eat, as something that's ill or that's weird, or why are you eating that? Yeah. When that's what we're supposed to be eating. So, yeah. Only thing I can tell you is just you got to eat it.
I'm going to defend myself because I've been doing better.
Good. Because she just put you on the spot. I was wondering why you
give me no credit at all.
Because it's funny, because when you were naming off the vegetables, she's sitting there and she was like,
I was like, okay, I might be able to do spinach. I may be able to do that one.
How old are you?
She just turned 39.
Yeah, You gotta, like, I'm gonna tell you this. I will say this. I used to be one of the pickiest eaters ever. I didn't want anything. The only greens that I ate was I ate okra and I ate green beans. I didn't eat nothing else. And when I went vegan, I started, my taste buds changed and I started eating more things, and I realized that I could eat these things. They're not gonna kill me. Like, I'm not gonna die when I eat them. And then the more you actually eat them, the more you actually start to like them. They're like, or you appreciate them, or they taste so, like they're more tolerable. So you just have to say, okay, you know what? I got to put this in my diet. I got to remove something and I got to add something. So, remove something and then put some broccoli in place, or put some cabbage in place. Like, I didn't eat cabbage till I was 35. I love cabbage now. I love Brussels sprouts. I love like all this food that I didn't eat before. So, and for me, it's more of a growing up thing. Sometimes now there's gonna be things that you just don't like, that you can eat and just say, I can't eat that. That's just nasty. I done tried it 5 times, but there's other things that you just have to say, okay, let me eat this. I gotta taste it. I gotta start trying it. It's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Get you some carrots and some kale and some spinach.
Look, she said kale, and I'm like, I'll eat some spinach. I ain't messing with no kale.
Kale has a very bitter taste, but you can do things to kale. Like, you can take kale, put some olive oil on there, put some seasoning on there, put it in the oven, and make kale chips. And you can season them however you want them to season, and they taste good. Like, you could put there's recipes that you could make it taste like barbecue chips, or you can make it taste like you can put anything on there. Like, kale is just one of those that does have a bit of taste, but you can play with it. Like, I love kale chips. When I was vegan, I used to take some kale, put it on the pan, sprinkle olive oil, put some salt on there, and shake it up, put it in the oven for a little bit. They come out crispy, and I would just eat them. It would give you my little.
I'm gonna actually try that.
Yeah, they're not bad. And there's like different recipes, different things you could put on them to give them different flavors.
Okay.
Or
you can lemon pepper kale.
Yeah, you can do all that kind of stuff with kale. Or you can juice it. And if you juice it, just make sure you could put like pineapples in your juice to actually take over the flavor.
Yes.
So yeah, I used to juice, and when I would juice, I would always put just a stalk of pineapple. I wouldn't want to put too much sugar, but I would put whatever greens. I would fill it up with spinach leaves. I was like celery, everything. All those things would just be disgusting. And then you put one little, like if you go to Whole Foods, they have those like stalks of them, and you just put one of them in there, and it changes the whole flavor. And you can drink that every day until you get to the point where you want to eat you some actual vegetables.
Okay. I could try that, because I've been looking back into other options, just changing lifestyle changes. Because I don't know where this little mystery weight came from, but they got to go back wherever it came from. So I'm like, okay,
I'll tell you where it came from. Them cookies at McDonald's.
Mine didn't come from cookies in my McDonald's. Mine was Tiff Treats.
Them cookies. Okay. Oh, well, either way, just want to make sure.
Yours was what?
Tiff Treats. But hers was from the McDonald's cookies. We both got a cookie problem, and you was eating Tiff Treats too. So hush. So yeah, but just trying to get back into the lifestyle. And I'm like, I was thinking about revisiting, trying to do the smoothies and juicing. And I'm like, ugh.
So there's a lady on TikTok. She was on my live. And she has fibroids, and they were trying to get her to have a hysterectomy, and she has changed her diet to plant-based. And I was like championing her for that. I was like, you need to go on TikTok, and you need to document this, because people need to see this. She's like, I'm scared. I was like, no, just go in there, show what you're eating. This is going to help somebody. Like because a plant-based diet is going to help. Like, I can't recommend a plant-based diet to everybody. I would love to, but I can't recommend it because I know that it's not realistic for everyone to do a plant-based diet. But doing a plant-based diet heals so much that you have no idea. Like, it goes all the way down to our ancient like way of life. Like, I get, like, when I was vegan, I wrote this whole paper on how this is how we were created. This is what we were created to eat. And, like, so if you go to this diet, this is everything that comes from the ground that was created for us. Is none of that stuff is going to cause any problems at all. It's all going to help to fix things. And so if you can go on plant-based and eliminate all of the toxins, eliminate all of the extra hormones, eliminate all of those things, then your body starts to reset itself and it starts to get rid of all the things that that you were suffering with, all the inflammation, all the pain, all of cancerous cells. All of those things can be treated with a plant-based diet, but it has to be a true healthy plant-based diet. You can't be like vegan, like those people that are vegan that that eat everything out the box, all the processed foods. You got to do true plant-based. So, but yeah, it's probably gonna, I wanted her to do her TikToks because I was like, it's gonna make a difference, and I would love for you to document that so people can see that. And so she's juicing and she's doing all these different fruits and all these different herbs, and you got to think about all those herbs out there that are good for you, that help with certain things. And so but it's just not realistic for everybody. I can't expect everybody to do it because it's hard. So, and some people just don't want to. You got to be in the right mindset to go plant-based. You gotta know in your mind that this is what I'm going to do and be committed to it. Like right now, I can't do plant-based. I know I can't. So, but I know it'll help certain things. It'll help my PMDD. It'll help migraines, but you got to be in the right mindset for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely that. Because I know, like, when I had this weight issue a couple of years ago and I tried keto, keto, you are supposed to eat good carbs. You're supposed to limit your carbs. And for me at that time, I was heavy. Fresh bread, man, give me a fresh loaf of bread. And it ain't going to last long. The potatoes and rice and sugar. And when you're on there, you can't have the sugar. You have to find other things besides sugar. Even with, like I said, even eating the good carbs. So that was a total difference. And when you're not having the caffeine, you can't have the caffeine. No sodas and stuff like that. I felt a difference. I had energy. And then the weight was just slowly coming off. I lost like 50 something pounds in like 3 months just doing it. And I was like, well, damn. And it was a difference. Now, the thing was, like, with it, when I did have something with sugar, I felt like shit. Like, it was like, whoa, wait a minute, where this come from? We ain't been here in a while. Like, it was a real shock to my system. Even me, I was wasn't big on soda, but every now and then I had to have me a Big Red. So just out of process, when I went to go drink me a Big Red, it felt like I was drinking dirt.
Yeah. It tastes different when you're on keto. The sugar doesn't even taste the way it's like. It's like, what is this? Yeah, I did keto. I love keto, and I'm halfway keto now. But yeah, when you're strict keto, you feel like crap if you have some sugar. And then, but the thing about it is, you go through this phase of not even, like, after you go through the first couple of days of getting over the withdrawal symptoms. You get to this phase of feeling amazing where you're like, I didn't even realize I was feeling this bad. I didn't realize that I wasn't feeling my best because you're on this sugar, and that's what the sugar is doing to you. It is keeping you down. So then when you get on keto, you're 2 weeks in, you feel like the healthiest person. You got all this energy. You're sleeping good. You're losing weight. Your skin is clear. Like, what is going on? I didn't even realize I was feeling bad until I see how good I can feel. And that shows you right there what diet can do and what the sugar is actually doing to our systems.
Yeah. And people don't realize, like, sugar is an addiction.
It's an addiction. It's the devil. One of
the hardest things for people to come off of. It's the same. It works the same pathways as cocaine. It's an addiction. Yeah.
It's definitely an addiction.
Definitely is. Yeah, definitely is. And with that diet, that's when I learned that, because I was like, damn, okay, no caffeine. Because even when I was doing the butter coffee, it was decaf. And like, even that was like, he was like, whoa, wait a minute. But it was like, you didn't need the caffeine because now I was sleeping. So I was like, I don't need that to try to stay awake during the day. And then when I found, if I did need a soda, the soda I found was sugar-free. And I was like, who the hell drink a sugar-free soda? That don't sound right, boy. And I tasted it, the soda wasn't bad. And then I found other alternatives, because like I said, I wasn't a big soda drinker anyway. I would have that once in a blue moon if I just needed that taste. But once I found other alternatives that was sugar free, they actually really were not bad. But versus having it, it's like, you had that little taste. As long as I had that little, I was good. But then I could drink my water the rest of the day. But it was a totally different feel, not being on caffeine, not being on sugar, not even being on dairy to a point that you can't have that technically on there either. So it was like, okay. And then once I got off, I noticed, I don't really like potatoes no more.
What you said, like, because it does change, and this goes along with what I was saying earlier about when I was vegan and how certain foods I started to like after a while. So things that are like bitter, or things like kale, for instance, or vegetables that we don't like, that we just don't like that taste. We don't like that taste because our tastes have been corrupted by sugar, and we always want sweet. And actually, bitter is what's best for us, but we're addicted to sweet. So we don't like the taste of bitter. So once you remove, if you go keto or you go vegan, so for me, once I remove the sugar from I accidentally became vegan, by the way. I became vegan by trying to remove carbs. I was like, I'm going to remove bread, pasta, rice, and potatoes and all that kind of stuff. And once I did that, I was no longer eating burgers. I was no longer eating tacos. So I became vegan accidentally. But once I removed those things and those sugars from my diet, then the things that I was supposed to be eating that I thought was nasty before actually taste better. It actually had a good taste. And I was like, wow, this is weird, because my body, like, the sugar does a whole lot to you. It tricks you into thinking that you need it. And like, so you then crave it. And it tricks your taste buds as well. So when you think that's the best thing. And so if you love sweet, you're not going to like bitter. So you take the sugar and the sweet out of your diet, the bitter now tastes better, because it's actually, that's the stuff that's good for you. So that's why you probably, things that were sweet, you were like, ugh. And when you're on that keto diet, you could have tried something else that you previously didn't like, vegetable wise, and it might have tasted better to you. You'd have been like, oh, okay, because you weren't eating the sugars. The sugars, I call sugar the devil. I was going to write a book, Sugar is the Devil, because it does so much to us. It tricks our taste buds. It tricks our brain. It literally is a drug. Our body is addicted to it. So it tells your body, like, your stomach is growing yeast inside if you have a lot of sugar, and this yeast is causing inflammation. And it's telling your body after you ate an hour ago, hey, I need more sugar. I'm hungry. It sends it to your brain. Okay, I need more sugar. You go crave more sugar so that you can continue this process of this whole cycle that's going on with producing yeast, producing inflammation. And it's like, it's a drug. So it's constantly, and that's why if you're not eating and you go from eating for a while, you start feeling like you're dragging and you're tired because, I need this, because it's not even you're hungry. You're addicted to sugar. So your body feels, and then you feel like, I'm pepped up just for a second, but then you're going to fall back down again. So that's all due to sugar. That's an addiction.
Yeah.
Somebody said, are you okay?
You okay over there? You keep going down that list, and she's like,
baby, I'm like, I know it's necessary. It's not the first time I've heard this, and it's bad when you know it and you've heard it, and like it's coming from everywhere now, and it's not so much to me, but it's like indirectly hearing people talk about it, seeing it, reading it. It's like, damn, okay, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Just gotta, You
just gotta get your mind right for it. Just start prepping your mind and start like saying, okay, I'm gonna start doing this. Even if some people, it works if you take one thing out at a time. Like sometimes just hitting it hard is not for you. So maybe you say, I need to remove this from my diet. I'm going to remove now this week. I'm going to remove this. And like right now is the perfect time. Like, I mean, like in Louisiana, most of us aren't Catholic, but a lot of us still follow Lent. So it's the perfect time to say, okay, I'm going to take this away from my diet for Lent and just start removing stuff and say, I'm going to fast from this for this reason. If you're real religious or spiritual, use that and say, you know what, I'm going to fast from this, and I'm going to fast and pray about this, and I'm going to remove this from my diet. So just start like taking baby steps, because some people can't just do the cold turkey. You just got to do baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just avoid McDonald's. Don't do McDonald's anymore.
Yeah, I had that last night and I regretted it probably this morning. I was like, yeah, that wasn't it for me. Yeah, that wasn't it. Mm-mm. Yeah. I eat it every now and then, every orange blue moon.
I
Yesterday
can't.
was one of the moons because I was sleepy and I felt it was late when I woke up and I was like, I ain't finna cook. I'm gonna hit this drive through right quick. And that's how we ended up with McDonald's.
Yeah, I can't do it. My kids, they like it, and they only like it because my parents started buying it for them. I can't stand McDonald's. It's all processed fake food.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It definitely is. And it's just like, when you see that it don't even get old. It's like but
That's what
you're
I always
eating
tell
it.
you. It don't
Yeah.
even break down. That is not normal.
No, it don't grow mold, it don't grow nothing. It just stays
Yeah.
in this place and don't nothing happens.
Mhm.
Like, it's bad when you have McDonald's or something, or you see these experiments and even the roaches don't eat the McDonald's.
Yeah, that's crazy. You could drop a fry in your car. You don't know when that fry got there. Was that last month or last week? I don't know. It looks the same.
It looks the same. You're
And what
definitely
it's doing inside your body, it is not breaking down. It's causing some havoc.
yes. Definitely that. Definitely that. So yeah, highly agree. But yeah, those definitely diet. So like I was telling you, the first thing that my doctor suggested was getting a hysterectomy.
Right. I remember you
She's
said
like,
that.
oh, well, you got to be 45, going to get a hysterectomy. I was like, whoa, Cletus, hold up. Hold on now. Wait a minute. You just
There's so
jumped
many
to it.
things that she could have said before that.
Very. And I was thinking that same thing after watching, one of your lives. And I was like, hold on, no. Wait a
Yeah.
minute. Wait a minute,
Yeah.
baby. I know I'm going to be 45. I do not want any more children. Yeah. So what's the other alternatives besides that? Because you just jumped to the end of the line. We need to be at the beginning. Let's start here at the beginning on the options. And let's start with non-surgical options because you just jumped to straight putting me up under the knife, and that ain't what I'm trying to do. Unless
Did
it's
she give you more
diet.
options?
She gave me, after I finally said something to her, she gave me the options, and it was birth control options.
Mm-hmm.
So currently, I am taking a birth control pill. And I know she said like I had to be on one that was like estrogen based because otherwise the other causes more heavy bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the route that I took because the option she gave me, I was like, who the hell uses a diaphragm in 2023?
She said a
Like,
diaphragm?
she said a diaphragm.
Oh.
I was like, they still make them? I was like, they still make them. Like, as soon as she said it, I was thinking 1950s when
Yeah,
she
I've
said,
never heard anybody recommend a diaphragm. That's interesting.
yeah, she told me pills, diaphragm. It was an IUD, but of course, insurance didn't want to take it because that was my first choice. And then she mentioned the NuvaRing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, damn, they still make that too? Like, for real?
Yep.
Damn, that was...
So that should have been her first option. That should have been where she started from.
Yeah,
she
I
went all the way
agree.
down to the bottom. So
Yeah.
I like to tell people how treatment is supposed to go, how as a provider we learn treatment. So for instance, high blood pressure. As a provider, we learn this is the first line medication that you're going to treat. And then if this doesn't work, then you're going to add this. And if this doesn't work, you add this. So when it comes to fibroids, the way that we're taught is you've got tiers. You start, first question you want to know is, do you want to have kids? Do you plan on getting pregnant? So so you're separating it into people who want to have kids and people who don't want to have kids. That's where you start. Then you say, okay, let's start at the top. You don't want to have kids. First thing we can do is, depending on, now you're going to look at what type of fibroid is it? Is it in the cavity? Is it on the outside? How are we going to treat it? Is it causing symptoms? Do we want to just watch it and see, not do anything? Or if it's causing you symptoms, let's see what we're going to do. It's not causing it's not large, it's just causing heavy bleeding. Okay, so we're going to start, you don't want to have kids, we're going to start with birth control. We're going to start with the estrogen, progesterone birth control. We can either do the pill. Like you said, we can do an IUD, but that's where we're going to start. If the heavy bleeding is the issue, we can also even do I can't ever say that word, transenamase. I can't ever say the word, but it's something that you can take while you're on your period. Only take it when you're on your period to stop the bleeding, and that helps like with the extra bleeding. But I'm sorry, do y'all hear that?
Yeah.
In my background. Hey!
He jamming.
Look, I already told him I was going. I was like, do not make any noise. So that's where you start. So it's like you don't just jump down to hysterectomy. That's what hysterectomy is, at the bottom of both of those. Like, it's at the bottom of the list. You don't start there.
Yeah.
And what bothers me so much, especially when it comes to Black women and African American women, when it comes to the field of gynecology, is we always get the short end of the stick, and people always want to jump to the easy route for them or the quick route, and not taking us as human beings into consideration and the things that we may want to go through and or may not want to go through. And surgery should be at the last thing that we're considering. Like, it should be at the bottom. We got to go to several things before we jump straight through to, I'm sorry, I'm being distracted by people in my office. Before we jump to surgery. So for her to say surgery, just that irritates my soul. The fact that she said, okay, you need a hysterectomy, and not surgery, because there's surgeries that you can do that's not going to be a hysterectomy. There's going to be surgeries that you can say, for instance, if a woman wants to have children, and depending on where the fibroids are, we're either going to go through a hysteroscope, and we're going to go through a vagina, and we're going to go inside the uterus, and we're going to take the fibroid there, or we can go laparoscopic, or we can do open. But there's going to be different things based on what you want from this situation. Do you want to have kids, or you don't want to have kids? Where are the fibroids? What are the fibroids causing? But hysterectomy should never be the first thing that we're going to just say, let's just do a hysterectomy.
Agreed. Definitely agreed. Yeah, because
that's important for Black women. I always say, for you to know, if somebody says surgery from the start, get a second opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Ask more questions. Ask what other options do I have? Because there's so many other options. Even if you don't want to do the birth control, if you want to take a medication to help shrink the fibroids, or there's different things. There's so many different options.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on what symptoms you're having and what are we trying to fix.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that's why I say I think a lot of people don't know that there's other options besides surgery, because that's usually what's the first thing that is presented to us. Yeah. And honestly, with me not really knowing until I watched one of your lives, that's why I was like, wait, whoa. Nope. Dr. Ken said, you know how them kids get when grandma and them told them, grandma said. I was like, nope. Dr. Ken said. I was like, no, let's go this non-surgical route. What options do we have? Because I'm not trying to just up and do that and my body go out of whack in a whole different way, because I didn't have a whole full hysterectomy and could have did something else.
That's what gets me. They jump to hysterectomy, and like, as I say, not even jumping to surgery. We could at least say, let's try to remove the fibroid. Why are we saying let's remove the whole kidney? I don't understand why we're trying to remove everything when we could at least say, let's try, before we do that, let's try to remove the fibroid.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm going to remove the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think she offered, let's see, after the first, I'm going to say maybe after I went back after that. And then she offered the option of having a D&C.
Okay.
And I was like.
And this was because of the heavy bleeding?
Yes.
And this was before she offered the birth control?
Yes. Yeah.
Can I ask, was she Black?
You know she was not.
I just had to ask.
No, she was not.
And my question is, like, would she offer the same? Would she go through that same thing? I think there's a lot of what you call that when you don't know that you're biased? A lot of I think of the word.
Racial bias.
I told you I was gonna forget words today. What's that? it's bias that you don't realize you're having this bias. So there's a lot of times they don't realize they're doing it. I will say that.
Yeah.
They have these preconceived notions about Black people in their mind that they have come in with, and this is now subconsciously affecting how they are treating Black people based on these thoughts and these biases that they have already kind of come up with in their minds. And so sometimes they make these decisions and they just come like second nature without them having a full thought out process about it. So I'm not going to always blame it on racism. I think a lot of it is them not even knowing sometimes that they're making these choices or these decisions or these statements based on biases. So like, I don't think they would have said that to a white woman at all. I don't think that would have been the first thing. Just like when a Black person is on their way to kidney failure, its first thing is you go and get get your dialysis instead of saying, let's see where we can put you on a list for kidney, get a transplant, or let's do these things. They just go straight to dialysis. So I think a lot of that is just, it's sad that it's that way, especially in that field.
Yeah.
Because why was she didn't even, like I said, we're taught this in school. There's a line of, there's an order of things that you do. You start here, and then you go here, and then you go here. You don't just jump down without considering the other options. And so for her to so she still skipped, even when she came to the second part, she still skipped the first one. She didn't even say, you got to start with the most non-invasive. Let's start with the most non-invasive thing that we can do here. And she didn't start there. She started with the most invasive. Most definitive thing that she did. And then she went backwards, kind of went back up the steps. Instead of going back to the top, she kind of just went backwards. Which does not make any sense.
Yeah, because it's like once she saw him, then she was like, okay, let's do the endometrial biopsy. So that was like the first thing. And then when I went back from that, then she's like, well, okay, well, let's try this. Let's what about a DNC? Went through all that. And then when I went back after I didn't do the DNC, it was just for a follow-up. Then that's when she was like, well, we can always do the hysterectomy. I was like, well, homegirl, wait a minute. Non-surgical. Let's just go back to training. You just went way over there and then you came back a little bit and then you went way back over there again. So it was like, no, I had to suggest the non-surgical route. So she's like, well, you're about to be 45 and I don't give a damn. I want to have a kid at 50, but I don't. Right. Yeah, I'm like, no.
But let's try this before we jump into that. And if that don't work, then okay, let's go to the next step. But don't just jump me right without giving me that option.
Exactly. So I was like, no. And let's see. Hope said, I wanted a partial hysterectomy. And she told me no. She was a Black doctor and a very good gynecologist and was the only Black doctor at the clinic. Something happened and she left. And this was for the removal of my fibroids. I wanted mine out. And she said, no, you need your ovaries.
It's always a Black one that's going to tell you the right stuff. Because she, how old are you, Hope?
Hope is 50.
And this happened when she was how old?
I don't know. Hope, how old were you when this happened? So I was like, and like you said, that's that thing, like that everybody don't tell you that you need your ovaries, and once they take everything out, your body goes through a whole different thing.
Exactly. It's putting you through premature menopause. Like you're going through medical menopause right now. Like, and they're not telling them that this is what's about to happen. Everything's about to change. Your sex drive is about to plummet. You're about to gain weight. You're about to have hot flashes. You're not gonna be sleeping. You're gonna be moody. Life is about to change completely for you. And it's gonna happen at a point in your life anyway. But why should I rush you to go through that when I I don't have to? Let it happen naturally.
Lord.
Yeah. She said she was 44.
Okay. Yeah. So she just didn't want you to go through prematurely. Like those things. Like your ovaries are still working, they're still functioning. Let's let them function the way they're supposed to function.
Yeah.
Not remove things that we don't have to remove in the process.
Definitely. Yeah, because I heard that's a whole different ball game. I wasn't signing up for that. Because I know people that did go through, because they were doing the changing every hour. And just not having a quality of life because it was every hour. And they did the partial, and the partial didn't help. So then they ended up going back through and doing a full. And I'm like, yeah. But it was like they wasn't offered non-surgical options either, and probably didn't know.
What other surgery did they start from? A lot of people, when they're going and do this surgery, there's surgeries that like you can go in there and you can do the myomectomy where you're removing the fibroids. And instead of just like, I don't know, I just feel like sometimes they jump right into that partial hysterectomy without trying to remove the actual fibroids, the cause of the bleeding. That, you know, that's causing the heavy bleeding. Let's try to fix that problem before we just jump into that partial that part of that surgery. Like there's surgeries, that's procedures that you can do before jumping to that. And that's what I don't understand, is some of these people, are they even getting that option of having those surgeries? Because there's a couple that you can do before you do that. There's a few different options. There's so many options that you can do before you jump straight into that.
Yeah.
I have a question then. So since we're talking about options and all that part is good, but what is the conversation that needs to be had when you go to that office? Like, what are the key words? What needs to be said to get that doctor to be like, okay, let's check this out? Because even I could say in my situation, I hate doctor hopping. I want to get with somebody, get to know them, they know me, so I can bring those type of topics up. And it seems like when you're not heard, it's like, okay, let me just find somebody else and start again.
Yeah.
It's just constantly trying to find somebody else. Because even when I went and took my medical issues, you know, and I told my doctor, she was like, oh, well, what you can do is take some ibuprofen, start a week before your cycle's supposed to start, and that should help you out. And I'm like, trying to tell you I'm dying when it do start, and you want to say take some ibuprofen. So it's like, what bells and whistles, or what do you have to say besides?
So with the ibuprofen, that would be a start. And that's not just because ibuprofen that's going to help you with the pain. It actually like blocks prostaglandins and things like that help to decrease the bleeding. But she probably should have had a more in-depth conversation with you. It's hard for me to tell you what to say to a person, because I think for me, when I go to a doctor, I know almost immediately whether I'm coming back or not, because I know that I can't make this person listen to me. I can tell when I can't make somebody listen to me. I can tell if I got to convince you to hear me, I don't want to make you, I don't even want to be there with you. So like, for instance, I had a primary care doctor. I hadn't had a primary forever. Working in a clinic, it's hard for you to have primary because you just be like, you go to your coworker and be like, hey, look at this. And we get it treated, you know? So I was like, I need to go to primary. I haven't been at primary forever. I need to go get some blood work. This lady was like, she just was not hearing me. And I had tried to make an appointment with a certain guy, but his wife had a baby. And so they ended up changing me to her. And I hadn't done my research on her. And I'm very big on research when it comes to doctors. So that's where I would tell you to start. Is researching. I do a lot of research before I make an appointment because I feel like my time is so valuable. I don't want to waste my time. I don't have the time to take off from work, go see this doctor. Don't like this doctor. Let me find another doctor. I just don't have that time. So I'm going to do a lot of research. And that research is going to include me looking at where they graduated from, what's their race, how old they are, how young they are, looking at the reviews, looking at what people say about them, because you can't make that person, you'll know the type of doctor that's going to hear you out from the beginning. That one that's not hearing you, she's never going to hear you. Like you can't make her hear you. And it's like you shouldn't have to force them to hear you, because then they're hearing you and they become resentful and okay, I'm doing this just because you asked me to do it, not because that's the right thing to do. So I don't want that type of doctor. So when you
Yeah.
go in there and that person's not listening to you, you don't feel heard, and you try to make an effort to show them that you don't feel heard and they still don't hear you, then you gotta, I don't want to say doctor shot, but you gotta move on.
Yeah.
Because there are providers out there that are going to hear and going to listen to what you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And you just don't want to be in that position where they're not. Because I mean, that's a horrible feeling for me as a healthcare provider. I know stuff and I feel belittled. So I can imagine somebody who doesn't know the medical information and feeling like somebody's not paying attention to what they're saying. I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt. Like, for me, I shouldn't have to tell you I'm a healthcare provider for you to be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, girl, let me. No, I don't tell them I'm a healthcare provider when I walk in there, because I don't want you to just treat me like this because I know better.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a little bit about on your part as far as shopping, and it's like shopping for a car. It's like doing the research, seeing how other people like this person, seeing where this was made. Like. So my GYN, I researched her, and she's the best thing since sliced bread. I love her. But at the time when I was looking at her, she had graduated like 4 or 5 years before that. She was the chief resident when she was a resident. She now at the time was teaching the residents. So that let me know, okay, she's super smart, but she's also very into like learning what's new and staying educated. She was Black, she was young. I was like, okay, so I can relate to her. There was so many factors in what made me choose her, because I was like, I need to be able to relate to her. Yeah. So first day I walked in there, she was 2 hours late for my appointment. And I was like, she got in there and I was like, I was sure about to leave. She said, girl, don't leave. And she just started I could hear her talking to the other patients. So I knew she wasn't just playing around. Like, she was actually with patients. So, but the conversation immediately was like, this is my best friend. Like, I felt like I related to her. And to me, when you're going to your gynecology appointment, that is your most intimate part on your body. You should feel like you can have a conversation with this person like that's a good friend of yours. Because if you don't feel comfortable enough to talk about the most intimate parts of your body, then you don't need to be in that place with that person, because you're not going to be able to ask the questions that you need to ask, and you're going to let things fly because you don't feel comfortable. I know I said a lot, but that's how I feel about it.
That's true. Because we don't have many of us, and then the ones that do, it's like they're either not taking new patients, they're booked far out. Like, it's always something, and it's like, okay, well, if I need something, I'm gonna go with the person that's able to see me, and that's kind of how I roll. Like, okay, well, we gonna take some ibuprofen and we gonna die for 7 days, because I mean that's what we gonna do. So
what you should do is look at the offices and go look at the doctors in that office. See if you can find a Black one. If you can't find a Black one, then see what mid-level providers they have. Look at those as well, because if they have a Black PA or a Black NP, you're in luck. Like, you don't have to find that physician as long as you have a mid-level. Mid-levels are going to be, we're really like patient-centered anyway. So I would say that, because you might find a Black PA or a white doctor that has a Black PA. And then you just ask, oh, I want to get scheduled with the PA, or I want to get scheduled with the NP. You may have a better experience in that than going to, someone that you're not comfortable with. Just find out if they have a mid-level provider there. That's another way of trying to get in there. Or if there's a Black doctor, you can't get into them. See if they have a mid-level provider.
Yeah.
So
That's good stuff.
It's you got to shop it. You got to make sure you do your research, because you can't make them listen.
Yeah, I left when I had my insurance changed to January. I went to this doctor that everybody was like, "Oh, she's so awesome," but she was hard to get into. So I went, and I was like, "Damn, y'all ain't upgraded in how many years? Like, y'all still got." This looked like the 60s office, 1960s. Like, y'all ain't upgraded for real. Like, they didn't have like the table for you to sit on. They had like the hospital like gurneys. I'm like,
oh Lord, how was she?
Yeah, exactly. That was my thought process. I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. And she walked in, and I was like, "You got sandals on with brown pantyhose?" Like,
Oh wow.
explaining the doctor's office very much.
Hey,
Why the
yeah,
doctor's
she's
office
old
look
school.
like this? Yeah, and I mean, she was okay, but when it got to the point, okay, I didn't came in here twice, baby, and you see on my paperwork it says I have high blood pressure, and I didn't came in here twice, and you said my blood pressure was elevated, but you know I'm not on blood pressure meds. When you think about putting me back on my damn blood pressure meds,
Never addressed it. Yeah.
never said nothing. It got to the point I'm like, say so. I just came from the OBGYN. Minus I went up 4 flights of stairs, but my blood pressure elevated. You wanna go ahead and put me back on my medicine? So it got to the point to where I had to request a doctor's appointment, and say, "Hey, put me back on such and such and such now." Like if I gotta go to them levels, like, boo, you just disqualified yourself. So as soon as my insurance changed, then I could go back.
What was she? What was she?
Huh?
What was she?
She was my primary care doctor.
Well, what race was she?
See, you don't know how hard it is out here in San Antonio to find a doctor. You don't know, baby.
And I hate to say it, I'm not going to even say this one person's name, because there's one doctor here that everybody go to, but he kind of bootleg, you know. And I don't want a bootleg doctor.
No, I don't want a bootleg either.
You talk about East Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First name start with an L.
Girl, yes.
Okay. He like everybody doctor, and he everybody doctor because, like, when I tell you it's a line, like you giving away free food.
I was gonna say, usually if it's a line, he giving away narcotics like it's candy. Usually,
that's what it is.
Yeah, that's a pill. That's a pill mill. When there's a line like that and that many people, that's because it's easy to get.
And when I say the office is full all day,
yeah, that's because he writing those prescriptions out like it's nothing. Yeah, I don't like those. You don't want to go to that either, because that's
no.
for.
And I refuse to go to him. Like, I was like, no, I want a doctor. I don't want the neighborhood pharmacist to just writing prescriptions for whatever the hell. And that's usually why people go to him, because he's known as
he's writing prescriptions that they want, and that's sad. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. So when you have them kind, it's like,
I don't know. I truly believe, and I say this on TikTok all the time, and I'm like, I say it, with caution, because I don't want people to think, I'm racist, or I mean, I'm Black. I can't be racist, but that I'm, having some issue with white folks. But I just feel like Black people should have, just like with any cultural race or ethnicity. Like, I feel like Vietnamese people should go to Vietnamese doctors, especially if they're like, they speak more Vietnamese, because this person is going to relate to you. This person knows what your diet is like. This person knows what your lifestyle is like. This person knows what the cultural norms are in your life. They get that. And people are afraid to say that when it comes to like Black and white people, but no, we have our own entirely different culture within this country. And it's best that we're seen by people who understand that culture. So they understand everything about it. They understand how we're eating. They understand what makes sense, because they could come and tell you, when I was doing my PhD and I was doing my paper, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do my dissertation on. And when I realized I was talking about diet in Louisiana, and I was like, people, when somebody's telling you to eat this type of food for a low fat diet, or that doesn't make sense to a person in Louisiana. That doesn't make sense to a person in New Orleans when you show them this piece of meat with this broccoli. When they cook a pot of rice every single day to go with their red beans and rice, they steak and gravy, they're like, it's just, we eat rice with everything, or we eat etouffee, or we eating crawfish, or we eating this, like, that diet that you're saying does not make sense to that group of people. So I think when it comes to anything, like, it's supposed to, I don't know, I think we should stay within those cultures, because somebody's going to understand, okay, I know that I can't tell you to eat this. I know I can't tell you to only eat that, but they're not going to understand that. They're going to just tell you, oh, eat this, or, decrease your salt, not realizing how much salt you actually use, or, or like, I think sometimes when we tell people to do stuff, I've had patients come to me and say that the doctor told them to change their diet. If you don't know what's healthy or what's unhealthy, changing your diet is not going to make any difference, because some people think they're eating healthy. So yeah, that's why I say it's all based on, I think a lot of you should be in the same culture. So when I tell my patients to eat healthy, I tell them, okay, we're going to decrease the rice. We're going to decrease this. I tell them specifics because I know how people eat here. So like, a person of another culture or race is not going to be able to help you with certain things. And I just think we got to stay in that. I don't know. And I just think they're not going to treat you with the love that somebody who we have this, when you see a Black person, how when you see a Black person amongst the white people, how you acknowledge them. When it's anything in a doctor's office, you're going to feel like this is somebody that I can relate to. So they're going to treat you a little bit different. I just don't think that, like I said, those unconscious biases that the white doctors have, they just don't realize that they're having that with you. And they don't realize the things that they're telling you to do. I use jasmine brown rice now. Oh, you from New Orleans? She's not lying. Who's from New Orleans?
Hope she was saying you from New Orleans because she's listening to the comment because she's from New Orleans too.
Oh, she is, yeah. So it's like rice with everything. So she understands, yeah. So you just can't. Those dietary recommendations, sometimes they just don't make sense for everybody. So it makes sense for you to have somebody that understands you culturally.
Yeah. I can definitely feel that. I can definitely feel that. Definitely. So, but yeah, like you said here,
yeah,
it's a little hard here. A little hard.
She said they are trying to stop our race from producing. You know what? Sometimes I think that, especially when they jump straight to hysterectomies. What you trying to do?
Man, she jumped out the gate. I was like, how you know I don't want no more kids? Like, well, you're 45. Well, I know people that had kids later than 45. Like, yeah. I was like, I don't need you to tell me. I know how I'm finna be. But yeah, that was her first option, hysterectomy. I was like, whoa, chemotherapy.
No. So pass that along to people. Don't go straight to the hysterectomy. See what other things you can do. There's so many other things you can do. There's some steps to that. Hysterectomy is at the bottom. Make sure they have addressed each step with you.
Yes.
And if you have lack of access to, so with y'all issue where y'all have the lack of access to more doctors that are going to give you that same care, I would say just ask a lot of questions. Like before, surgery, they say surgery. Okay, what are the other options prior to doing surgery? What other options do I have? What are the other alternative treatments? Just always ask what the other treatments are before, do you jump to saying, okay, I need surgery. And just also think about getting a second opinion if you can't, get enough information from them.
Okay.
Go in there with your notepad, like you're ready to write. Like that may key them into you having questions. Write questions down before you get there, and try to get those questions answered. Like, questions like, what's the best outcome of this situation? What's my best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? What's the least invasive treatment that I can get for this? What's my prognosis? Am I going to be good? What's my quality of life going to be whether I treat this or not? Or like, that's the kind of questions that you should ask. If that's what you have, you guys don't have a lot of Black doctors, then you just have to make sure you ask those type of questions. Like trigger them to think, what are the options? And if I do this option, what should I expect from that? What are going to be the negative outcomes that I could experience from this? You're telling me a hysterectomy. So does that mean I'm going to go through menopause? I'm 45 years old. My mom didn't go through menopause until 55. So you're telling me I'm going through 10 years early? Like, what other options is there? Like, you could just ask questions about options, about outcomes, about what would they do? That's a good one right there. What would you do if it was you?
And I did do her like that. She was like, "Well, I have fibroid." I did do her. And I was like, "So," I asked her a question about fibroids. She said, "Well, honestly, I have fibroids as well." And I was like, "Well, do you now? But you still have all your parts? Did you do a hysterectomy?" And she was like, "No, she didn't." she put an IUD in and called it a day, and she rolled with it.
So why did she recommend you? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And she said it. She said she's had heavy bleeding since she started having cycles. She had always been a heavy bleeder.
But she got a freaking IUD, but she offers you a hysterectomy. I just don't understand. So yeah, what would you do?
Yeah. I was like, well, thank you for that now. Yeah. So yeah, after that, I was like, yeah, I'll be changing you too. I'm gonna find somebody else because obviously, you just want to cut me, ma'am. Yeah. So yeah, that was I was like, oh, I'm glad that insurance was over. But yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna have to find somebody else because you just trying to take my parts.
Gotta find somebody else. Go find you. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I'm directing my own treatment already. I'm already telling you, oh, okay, well, yeah, let's do those non-surgicals. Yeah. That part. Like
I mean, you had to I see what y'all are limited there because I mean you're over there directing your hypertension treatment. That don't make sense to me either.
Yeah. And I found out, that I've actually had to do that. That's why I was like, ma'am, I didn't get to you twice. And I didn't been over here twice. Like, no, thank you. Kind of wanna go and work that out, ma'am. And then she's like, well, let me see what I got. Let me go and tell you what I was on before. Just go and write it for that. Yeah. Because I know it works. Because I don't know what you're gonna suggest if that's gonna work. I don't need my lips swole up looking like I got stung by bees. So let me just go.
Because I'm about to tell you, she was gonna hand you that lisinopril prescription real quick.
Yeah. If I promise and see, you already know. Every day, doctor I know here, that's the first thing that they give Black people is lisinopril.
It's because it's the first thing that they give everybody. But again, I told you, it says number 1, first line. So in the one medication treatment for newly diagnosed hypertension, you're going to start with an ACE inhibitor, which is lisinopril. But right underneath it, it's going to say, it's going to say in non-Black population. Right underneath it, it's going to say in the Black population, you should start with a calcium channel blocker and a diuretic. You can always add the ACE inhibitor on later, but it should not be your first line treatment for African American people. But again, everybody wants to start not read and not pay attention to the actual algorithm of how things are supposed to be done. And so everybody on lisinopril. Yeah, everybody's blood pressure is controlled. They coughing, they got swollen lips, they don't want to take nothing else, don't trust anybody else. So yeah.
Got that cough making it sound like they got COVID. Yeah, I refuse. I was like, no, go and give me this. She's like, nobody even takes that no more. That's fine. That means it's more for me. But go on and write that prescription because this is what I was on before, and I know that it works, and I didn't have side effects. So just go and write it. Even the pharmacy, when I got it filled, they were like, ma'am, we're gonna have to order this because we don't have nobody else that takes it.
What
more for me. Azor.
Oh yeah, I remember Azor.
Good old faithful. I was like, I ain't never had a problem with it.
It works for you, and it works for you, and you didn't get side effects from it, and you stick with what you know. And if it didn't work, it would be a different case. But if you know it works for you, give me what works for me.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna play Russian roulette with lisinopril. I see too much. Yeah. Even and then I have a pharmacy background too, pharmacy tech background too. So I already then heard about it. We used to get that was one of the biggest things we got calls for in the clinical was for the side effects to the lisinopril.
Yeah. So it's not. It's very concerning that she didn't have the conversation with you. Okay, that first one, your blood pressure's high. What are you doing? How are you eating? Well, look, I need you to come back. Let's see. Make these changes to your diet. Let's see what it looks like when you come back in a couple weeks. Having that conversation with you instead of just ignoring it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was like, I was honest. I was like, hey, I put it on the paperwork. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. She's like going through, oh, so you have a, yes. I was like, I haven't been on medication, didn't have insurance. So I'm getting everything right, doing, getting my life together, taking care of me because I've been taking care of everybody else. But at the same time, yes, I have not been on medicine. I have been controlling it by, my diet and stuff. But lately, hey, I know that it's increased from a prior doctor's appointment. So I know, there was some elevation there. So, okay. And now you're telling me now it's a little elevated. Okay. That's 2 times right there that I'm already telling you.
Right.
And still she didn't, nothing. She didn't say, well, okay, well, let's get you back on it. No.
That's
like, yeah, no. Yeah, I'm going to change you as soon as January.
Well, we're going to have to start making road trips for doctor's appointments. We're going to just go on down to Houston or something, somewhere else. Just go up the street.
Yeah, I got to. I got to find something. I know they got a lot of Black doctors in Houston.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's so limited here. And like Pink said, when you do it, we're in so many groups on Facebook. And one of the groups, they're always asking, hey, where I need a Black OBGYN. I need a Black GYN. Like everybody's asking, oh, go to this person, go to this person. That person either usually isn't covered on somebody's insurance, or they're not taking new patients, or it's like something. And it's like, God, dog. And then you hear, oh no, this happened to me when I went to this doctor. You're like, wait a minute, you didn't have to get your whole uterus taken out because they didn't do no shit. Wait a minute, nope. So it's usually it's something, or you got them doctors that just don't doctor right.
Yeah.
I don't want you neither. Yeah, no. So you hear enough stories about people, you're like, yeah, I want.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go to them. I'm gonna skip them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like some of them times when you just sometimes you can't bet on Black.
Yes, it's horrible. That's horrible.
You would like to, but sometimes you just
can't.
So yeah, with that being said, so we're just trying to figure out, and I think one of the I guess you could say was considered one of the top GYNs that was here passed away a couple of months ago.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, he had been in the business 70 something. He was like in his 70s, almost 80, I think, when he passed away. So him, and I think his daughter is in the same practice. He has a daughter that's under him that's in the practice. But yeah, he had been doing it he delivered pretty much all my siblings. So it was like, oh, okay. So he had been around for a good, a good long time, very good long time, and just recently passed end of January, I think. So yeah, I'm like, or that's happening. They checking up out of here. So yeah, it's kind of snug.
Oh, that's horrible. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully y'all start getting some more around there. I mean, I don't know. Or you may have to, like I say, go a little further out.
Yeah, and I start traveling. Like, yeah, road trip to the doctor's office. God dang it!
All y'all schedule on one day. Just drive together. Gas money.
Yeah, that part. We just gonna make a whole trip of it. So yeah, at that point, that's probably about where we get to, because it's like, otherwise it's like just kind of getting quality care. Like I know there's places, even just clinics here, that I know sometimes I'm like, hell no. I ain't going there. Yeah, like the insurance, I don't know what happened. They didn't take the change when I put who I wanted. When the new insurance, and they had somebody else. Now I looked and pulled it. I said, I know you lying. No, I ain't going there. I'm gonna reselect this. I'll wait a whole nother month for this change to go through. But I ain't there. Bro, no. So yeah. So it's one of them things. But definitely, even still, we know we have to get stuff checked out. Definitely for women, definitely in that area, we have to get our yearlies and make sure everything is good and going. And I know one girl said she ain't been in like 10 years. I was like, how you into
that's not good.
10 years, dog.
Nah. If she's young, she definitely needs to get in there, because you don't know what you might be missing. Something's going on in there.
And speaking of that, is it true that now we don't have to get, because I know last year when I got my PAP, she was like, well, you don't have to come back for, like, she said either 3 or 5 years. And I was like, when did y'all stop doing, like, they don't want you to do the yearlies anymore?
It's coming from studies that have shown that that certain, I don't like it because I feel like, what if there's an aggressive, something there aggressive, but there were studies showing that, like, okay, if I do a colposcopy on someone because they had abnormal cells, that if I would have waited just another year, those cells would have normalized, or, would have been okay. Like certain strands of HPV are transient, where they will come and then they go away. And so all of these studies are showing that people that you should not, they thought it was doing more harm than good by doing the pap smears every year, because when they're abnormal, you automatically go to further studies and further testing that probably could be put off. And so they've changed the guidelines to like every 3 years for certain people. If you've had abnormals, then it's every year. But if if every pap smear you've had has been normal, then they'll tell you, depending on your age, 3 years or 5 years. So like I'm on my 3rd year, and I didn't agree with it. The only reason I'm on my 3rd year is because I got busy and I changed jobs and stuff. But I feel like if you want to go every year, you have the right to go every year and get that pap smear. So whether or not your insurance is going to cover it all the time, I think this insurance is still going to cover it because it's just a recommendation. And then if you are promiscuous, or if you've had multiple sexual partners in the last couple of years, that puts you at risk. And that's a reason to go every year. So if you were ever told that, if you wanted to go every year and you were ever told that, oh, you don't need one, just say, look, I didn't have about 5, 6 partners. Just tell them that. Okay. Because that's one of the reasons to have them every year. So that's why I tell my patients, I'm like, just tell them you got around. You didn't switch to your partners.
I had a drunk night and I had like 10 partners in one night.
Because the more sexual partners you have, the higher risk you are of developing HPV. And so they will do a test on you every year. You just tell them, look, I'm a lady of the night. But yeah, it's based on studies though. But I just tell people, if you want to be comfortable going every year, go every year. I've never had an abnormal, so I still wanted them every year. But this last couple of years, Hurricane Ida, me losing my house, all kind of stuff happened to me. So I was like, I didn't actually went to 3 years. Good Lord, let me hear it. I think the last time I went was 2020. Yeah, so it's time. But I was okay with it in my mind because I was like, I've never had an abnormal pap.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, Jackie said that too. She said, I was just told no yearly this year. Mammogram, yes, but no yearly. So yes, it's true.
Yeah. They still recommend, but this is the thing. Pap smears aren't recommended every year, but your pelvic exam still is. So you going there and getting a pelvic exam, getting a swab, like checking for any STDs, that is, you can still get that every year. That's still something, if you just want to go and get your checkup, you can get that. They're just not gonna do an actual pap smear.
Don't ask, because I already see the shoes.
I didn't even know it was separate, because they usually do all that together. I'm like,
yeah. So a lot of people don't realize that. They always think a vaginal exam is your pap smear. So like, you getting a pelvic is just the actual exam that I'm going to do to be able to do the pap smear. Mm-hmm. So the pelvic is me putting that speculum in, looking at your vagina, making sure everything's normal. I'm going to swab you anyway to check for any STDs, because you can get that yearly check, whether you're, having sex or not, they'll do that. And just making sure everything is normal, doing a bimanual exam, pressing on your uterus, making sure all of that stuff is normal. The pap smear, it just happens during a pelvic exam where they're scraping your cervix with that you feel that little brush in there. That is what you don't have to do every year.
Oh,
But you
okay.
should get your pelvic. Just to make sure like getting your yearly exam, still should have your yearly exam. Still should make sure, go there and make sure everything else is normal. Everything else is in line.
Yeah.
Well, I learned something. I sure didn't know that. I thought that was all a part of the exam. I'm like, do what now? That's go with the pap smear because they do the full
Yep.
separate. Okay. All right.
It's two different things. Like I have had patients. I learned that I think because once you go to school, I went to school really young, so I was practicing at 24. So I learned that things that I knew at a young age that not everybody knows at this young age. So I remember seeing patients and then thinking that a pap smear was everything. All in casing was a pap smear. Like I need a pap smear, and I'm like, why do you need a pap smear? Because I think I got an STD. And I'm like, well, that's not a pap smear. You just need a pelvic exam. It started hitting me that, oh, wait, okay, this is not common knowledge. But again, I didn't know it wasn't common knowledge because I learned it so early. So, but yeah, it's two separate.
Yeah. And I'm laughing at Hope. She said, yeah, it's different. I learned that last year. I thought I had something.
Oh, well, she thought she had.
I ain't the only one.
I did a post the other day on things to teach your daughter. And
I saw that.
Everybody was like, wait, grown women need to know this. But I did it specifically because I've seen so many grown women that don't know it, that I felt like we needed to teach it early on so that our children don't get to that age and don't know it. And like one of the simple things of discharge is normal. Like I find so many people that come in and they're like, I got this discharge. And they like, I've had a girl come in when I was at the urgent care and she kept coming and getting tested. And I was like, it's negative. What do you think is going on? And it's like, when I would start digging, finally, I'm like, okay, what does the discharge look like to you? And she's like, oh, it's this and it keeps changing. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's going to change. And so I started realizing that people, not everybody knows that this thing is normal, or just being younger and thinking about having discharge and thinking something's wrong with you. Like, what is that? Mm-hmm. Or even having some mothers who became mothers really young or who became sexually active really young. They don't realize that discharge will happen regardless of sex or not. And that was why I did that video, because I was like, let's talk about things that have nothing to do with sex. So when we can think about our daughters, that you're not over here telling her she's having sex because she's got discharge, or she's hiding her panties because she thinks, oh Lord, my mom is going to think this, or, these are things that's going to happen regardless of sex or not. So yeah, that video, kind of hit a couple nerves in some people. They were just like, yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because old traditions, that's what they would normally consider. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. You see a discharge, then, oh yeah, she's being sexually active.
And she's having sex, and they think she's having sex. No. Once you become, once you go through puberty, your vagina is going to start producing discharge, and it's going to go through its different stages. It's like, yeah, I said, a lesson to teach your daughters, but it was for adults too. It's just like, this is information that, we definitely need to teach our daughters so that they don't get to that point where they're older thinking that something's always wrong, or, or just to having parents that think something different.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Because I think most of in my generation, I think we went through it. Yeah. We definitely experienced it. Yeah. It was that automatic assumption. Oh, okay, she must be sexually active. No. Yeah.
And it makes me wonder about my mom, because I didn't become sexually active till I was 18. But I went through stages of different discharges. And I remember trying to rinse my panties out in the sink because I thought something was wrong. Like, why do I have that? Ew, like something's wrong with me. But my mom never made me think that, like she never said, are you having sex? But that always makes me wonder. Like, I wonder if she thought, like, if she considered that when she saw that. But yeah, that's all normal. You're gonna go through those stages of them having a different color, or it having a different aroma, depending on what kind of food you're eating, what kind of medications you're taking, all of those things. That all makes a difference.
Yeah. And as you said, it's adults, it's women that don't know that. They see discharge and they're automatic like, oh, this nigga done gave me something. What's going on? You know, it's that because it's a lot of women that don't know neither. That's just like the proper way to wash, you know, not using a washcloth.
Yeah. That's a hard one. They fight me on that.
If you use no washcloth, you ain't clean.
Yep, they believe that. But then I don't know if you saw the video I did the other day, the things men should know about women's vaginas. I put that one out because I was like, I keep hearing men say, "Oh, it should smell like water."
Yep.
No, it's not gonna smell like water any time. It's a vagina. It's gonna smell like a vagina. Then somebody in the comments was like, "I don't want it. I want it to smell clean, not like a vagina." I said, "Well, clean." Is a vagina. A healthy vagina smells clean, and the clean is what a vagina smells like. It's not gonna smell like water. It's a vagina. It's just like, I don't understand. I don't what you're trying to. And so I made sure to put in there that they could also be the cause of it. Like just her having sex can be the problem. So don't come over here talking about it need to smell like water and she smells funny.
That rapper got them thinking it's supposed to smell like water. That song that had came out, remember he wanted the thing should smell like water. Wasn't it Plies? I think it was him. He had that song about, I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna play it for you later. It's a song and it say that's the lyrics.
Send me that and message me that so I can.
Yes, it should
be my next TikTok.
Smell like water. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's not supposed to smell like water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it be that whole belief system. It's like, I think one of the funny things is, and I know on TikTok, I see it on TikTok more. That's the first time I seen it, and I see it more on TikTok than anything. The coochie drink, when you putting all the cranberry juice, the pineapple juice, everything is loaded with sugar that you're putting in there and you're drinking it because it's supposed to make you taste sweet.
Now you got a yeast infection. Because you've been eating
all the dang sugar. Exactly. And probably borderline diabetic.
Yeah, you got a UTI.
Whether you got a coochie appointment or
you got a UTI, a yeast infection, and your blood sugar all crazy because you over here trying to make it taste a certain way.
Because everything was full of sugar. It was cranberry juice, you putting so much, then you putting pineapple juice. Then you putting, I mean, everything was sweet, and everybody was like, "Dang, y'all put so much sugar in that shit. You ought to be sweet." Dang sugar you putting in there.
You take you a probiotic and you drink some water, and you'll be fine. All that is not necessary.
Yeah,
it's all of these different. They're all trying to do something. I mean, I don't know. I think men need to be educated just as much so women can stop trying to conform to what they think they're supposed to be.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But then you got the other women, like in the women's group we're on in Facebook, where you got women that don't know, and a few of them get together and they tear down the others when it comes to stuff about our bodies, and they argue about the way the lips should look and the way it should smell.
Oh my God.
They argue about lips.
Oh my God. And like, I give this lesson to the girls. I show them a picture of 50 different vaginas and I ask them which one is normal. And those girls are all smart enough to tell me, every one of them have always told me all of them. And I thank you. Every single one of those are normal. And I make sure to tell them, like in like the group I talked to the other day, I told them, your normal is going to be different from her normal. What you see on Pornhub is not it. Like it's going to be completely different. So it's not going to look like that. Yours is going to look a certain way. Hers is going to look a certain way. Mm-hmm. All that about lips, and they fussing about lips.
I kid you not.
How old are they?
Man,
grown women arguing about lips.
Group, you don't never know what to expect in this group.
Oh Lord, I'm scared.
Ever know what to expect. We just be like,
really?
She just
yeah.
Okay. It's sad, and that's what they do all day long. And somebody in there, I guess they the ologists of what it should be, what it should look like, smell like, feel like, and just all day long. And I'd be like, T, look at this. Look at
Yeah,
this. Look at this. Look at this.
It gets me though when you have people that have no medical like experience, or they don't even have the knowledge that they've gained from a book. They've just taken something that they learned on the internet, or their own personal experience, and they call themselves to go and tell people what they think is right. And you're up here on a platform trying to tell people they're wrong or telling people they're right. I have people that come under my post and tell me I'm wrong, and I'm like, oh, okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had the guy on that told me, he told me today, he said, because one of the videos it was about the one with the men, what they know, about the vagina. And I was talking about how sometimes if the man or the woman are sleeping, having more than one partner. And he said, no, it's not the men having more than one partner, it's the women. And again, I told you I was PMDD. And so my response was, I'm sorry that happened to you. So, because I was about to keep going and talk to him about it and say, no, but I was like, I'm sorry that happened to you, because I ain't got time for it. Like, you didn't been through something, like, and you want to come on here and tell me what it's from? No, okay. I'm sorry that happened. I'm sure it probably, like, in your situation, maybe, but you also need to know that a lot of times men will be the cause. Simple as that.
I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, and men do that too. Like that, they go through the lips and what the vagina looks like. And oh, if it looked like roast beef, she didn't had a whole lot of partners. Don't nobody want it looking like that. I'm like,
oh, stop it.
Yeah.
Grow up.
Yeah, that part. I just be like, y'all just fix it, Jesus.
Grow up. I just be wanting people to grow up. That's it.
I'm laughing. Jackie say they're gonna need a urologist messing with that crap.
That's that drink. Trying to cause all kind of problems.
Yeah, but it is. I've seen that mess, and it's floating off. That is one of the biggest things I see on TikTok, and I'm like, oh my God, y'all just drink, just swallow a bag of sugar.
Yeah,
because that's basically what y'all do, and there's a lot of freaking sugar in there.
A lot. All them different juices. Why?
All that just because y'all want to taste sweet for a session.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was Plies, y'all.
It was Plies.
It was Plies.
Yes.
What song was it?
And it's called Water, and that's what he says. He wants a girl that smell like water and no odor and all that other stuff. And yeah, it's in the lyrics. But yeah, I remember it was a song about. That's what got him thinking about. They ain't supposed to have a smell, and it needs to smell like water, whatever water smell like. I guess it's the taste of air and the smell of water. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah. I got nothing.
Say that song is. I want to say that it's an old song too, because when I was in my younger times,
She said her younger times. You didn't got seasoned.
Yeah.
She said younger times.
I'm about to look that song up. And look at the lyrics to that.
It says 2007 is when that song came.
Oh, for real? Oh, dang.
2007. So that was, so we're at a younger age talking about, so then now these guys got the impression that, and the younger women thinking that it's supposed to, and then here we go.
Dang, that's baby. That long? Really that long ago?
That's what the online is saying.
I'm gonna need to go because I don't remember that song myself. I'm gonna have to go look that or go listen to that because I'm not. I'm not a big Plies person. I've listened to some of his stuff.
I always thought he sounded a little short buses when he rapped. Sounded like something wasn't quite right.
Well, I don't listen. That's why I say I'm not a big Plies. It's a couple of songs that may be a little catchy, but I ain't
So the name of the song is Water?
Yep, it says it's called that. That's what the online said. It's called Water. So Water by Plies, and see if it come out. Yeah, it came out. It says it was released in 2007. Yeah.
Mm.
Very, very, very vulgar song, but yeah, that was it.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Well.
see it.
Well, that I mean.
So mind you how old we were in 2007. So like imagine being in that age where you're 19, 20, 21, 22, kind of finding out about your body and hearing that it's supposed to smell like water.
Right.
Like water? What does water smell like? How do I get that scent of water? Sounds like a stressful time, don't it?
He sounds real pedophilish in this song. He said, period just went off and you can't smell a thing. P smell like and touch like she was 13.
Oh, I didn't get that far down there, but okay.
Oh.
You should have gotten in trouble with everybody else then, but that's
They
another
asked her when she leave the club, P smell the same. Now you telling me so she smell like water even after she been sweating in the club, is what you're telling me? Okay.
I'm almost sure I ain't never heard this damn song.
Oh, they used to bump it in the club.
I want to freak you and F you. I ain't trying to smell you. Want to raise that little P and take care. I can be a who I prefer it with the hair. Oh, Lordy.
My. Well.
Because I remember it being played in Christelle's.
Really?
Yes. Towards the end of the night where they playing the last bangers and it get kind of hood. Yeah.
Jackie said them girls getting gyno tips from Plies.
Yeah, I'm reading these lyrics. I'm just done.
You read the lyrics and I'm done. I'm like, the heck? I know. I do not remember that song. Was that do them creep vibes.
Some real R. Kelly stuff to me.
Yeah. I was just finna say it. Yeah, because that.
Yeah, that's real R. Kelly. He said 13. He got me at 13 right there.
That 13 cancels it. Is canceled out all across the board.
The whole song canceled out at that point. So everything. That's why you want to smell like water. She ain't hit puberty yet.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, that ain't it.
Yeah. Okay.
So one of the questions we missed, Hope asked, what is a good probiotic?
So good probiotic is going to be something that has the lactobacillus I can't even get the word out. The lactobacillus in there. So most probiotics now are going to have that in there. I tell everybody you got to I used to say certain probiotics, but everybody's gotten really competitive with the probiotics and they're all trying to get to the same level. So you're going to see they're going to have everything that they need in there. So just make sure it has that in there because that's the main thing that you're going to need for vaginal health. And just don't pay attention to the, don't pay more for something that's supposed to be specific to the women. Because if you take that bottle and you go to the next aisle, to the regular probiotics, it's usually the same thing in there. Just look at the CFU to see, like compare when you're looking at the bottle, see which one has the highest CFU. That's the one you want to go with. But yeah, like I said, I used to say different brands, but they're all really good now. Okay. You just gotta just pay attention, just read labels.
Okay. So what do you think about the one that has cranberry in it?
So that's gonna be good for urinary health. And that's okay. So if you're prone to having, that's the only one that I would say is okay to be specific for women or whatever. If it says urinary health, because it's people that are prone to UTIs, it may add something extra like the cranberry that's going to help you with UTIs. But otherwise, probiotic wise, all the other probiotics, bacteria that's in there is probably going to be the same.
Okay.
They just added a little something so they could say it's for UTIs.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, because I see it's a little bit of everything. Yeah, it's a good little market right now from what I'm looking on here. Because I know I used that one, the one by VH Essentials.
Okay.
That one has the cranberry in it.
Yeah. So that's just good for urinary health. But most of the bacteria is going to be the same that they have in all the other ones.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yep.
All right, awesome. Well, we're going to close out because we didn't quickly hit that 2-hour mark with the piece of song and oh
But
Lord.
did I answer all of the fibroid questions? I think we went through everything.
Yeah, I think we did. Symptoms, process of asking, definitely. That process even for treatments. Dietary.
Yeah.
What else? What is considered heavy bleeding?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to ask you what that one med was because you couldn't think of what it was that you could take when you're on your cycle and you're having heavy periods.
The hold up. I might have I got this book right here. It's got to be right here in this section here that I'm looking at. Tranexamic acid. I don't know. I couldn't think of that. Tranexamic acid.
I ain't never heard of that.
Yeah, it's you can take it when you're like during your cycle. That's the only time you have to take it is when you are taking it for the heavy bleeding. So if you don't want something, if you don't want to do a birth control where you're taking it every day, you only want something to take when you need it, you can take that, and that will help with the bleeding.
Okay. Does that interact with any medications?
It may. So if you got any bleeding disorders or if, like, let me see. Hold on. Let me look at my Hippocrates so I can give you a very informative answer. So tranexamic acid, contraindications, drug interactions. So thrombogenic effects. So if you're on any type of like medications for like blood clotting or anything, your doctor wouldn't even prescribe it to you. And it lowers seizure threshold. So if you're on any medications for seizures or something like that, it would be, so you wouldn't take it if you're on a birth control pill already. And let's see. And anything for von Willebrand, anything for any cancer drugs. And that's it. It's a few drugs, but they look like they're all like hormonal or blood, clotting drugs. So,
okay.
And the only ones they're absolutely contraindicated in are the ones are birth control.
Gotcha.
If you're not on birth control, you don't have any blood disorders, not on any cancer medications, anything like that, you could take that, and you take it as needed.
Ah, okay. Good information. Because that's good information right there. I'll be like, hey, did you know about this? Because I'm start testing people, and I hear, hey, do you know about this? 'Cause there's a doctor that I follow that said, you know about that. Yeah, because that's about it.
Bring a notepad in. Bring a notepad, a pen. I think that might get them to thinking, okay.
Yeah, thinking like, oh, she did a little research. Yeah. Because I had to do that other lady the same way. I was like, I looked up some non-surgical treatments. And she was kind of looking like yeah, because you're not finna cut on me, ma'am. So yeah, that part. But yes, so that is good and definitely good good information. So we are going to go ahead and get ready to close out. Dr. Ken, do you have anything to close out with?
Not that I can think of. Follow me on TikTok if y'all not following me. It's at Dr. Kenitra. And that's it. I'm there. Fibroids 101 complete. You're welcome.
Yes, yes. Thank you,
Children,
Jeffrey.
Lord.
Yes, definitely. All right. Well, ma'am, you want to do your outro, ma'am? You, Pinks. You have to look on your face.
I'm trying to figure out a way to reverse conception right about now. I'm getting some, I'm trying to figure out how we just reverse and put it all back. No. It was a great show. As always, thank you so much, Dr. Ken, for being here. I appreciate you. Personally, I am going to call my insurance on Monday and try to find me a color match, and we going to go down the cycle and see what we can find. So to be continued.
All right. Good.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yes, Hope definitely. That's what's up. I'm glad. She said she
Thank
follows
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yes, that is awesome. Like I said, if y'all are not following her, definitely following her because not only are her lives amazing and very educational and informative, it's just it's a good vibe, and it's good to have somebody that's in that community of being on a medical level to give good information because some people just be trying to make some money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, definite. And like I said, she has plenty of videos that are on there with pretty much everything. She didn't buy covered, I mean, pretty much anything between her IG and her TikTok. Y'all can go on there and get information. And if y'all have questions, she's open to y'all inboxing her. So I mean, hey,
Answer every message. So just send me a message.
yeah.
It may take me a couple weeks, but I do answer every message.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. So definitely. We will be having her back also. We're gonna work on that next date already because we got these children around here
Yes.
and life is starting to life. And woo, I'm in a lane that ain't technically my damn lane. So I need all the information I can get because I'm rolling solo dolo. So
Gotcha.
yeah, and I know I'm not the only one that has that kid that's in that right there on that peak, and you like, whoo, where do we go from this conversation? Because hey,
Yep.
pre-conversation we had, me and Pinks made a discovery with our children that we were not ready for and didn't even know that they knew, and they messed us the hell up. And I was like, oh shit. I felt like I was like behind like 10 years or something. So these tough conversations and just being able to be armed with information makes parenting a little more
Yeah.
smoother.
You just gotta be
And
willing to have the conversation, though. And that's the good part.
yeah,
Getting past discomfort. Because it's gonna be uncomfortable. So being okay with being uncomfortable.
yeah, that uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
That part. Yeah. But yeah, we had some little conversations I wasn't ready for, and I was like, oh yeah, and this is for the boys. So just
Yeah.
imagine mommy in the lane that yeah, I ain't supposed to be over here. So but we got it, somebody got to do it. So why not it be mommy? So yeah. So definitely, like I said, we are gonna have Dr. Ken back to go through that with us because this is actually a subject we wanted to have like a year ago, but didn't have nobody. And hey, TikTok sent a blessing through, so now we got somebody. So and it's somebody
Amen.
that we trust. So hey, we gonna get it done. So thank y'all for tuning in. We definitely missed y'all last week. Glad that we are definitely back in the business, in the place, and getting this done and educating. Coming up, of course, in a couple of weeks, we will be hitting our 2-year anniversary. So we are definitely excited about that because 2 years in the game. I'm like, where did the time go? So definitely tune in next week, same time, same channel. Peep out the group, the page, all that wonderful stuff when we post something. Might have a project to do this week that's actually cool since it's Women's Month. It was a cool little activity Alta had us doing in Circle that I thought was really, really cool. Women's empowerment, little giving some self-confidence. So it was a cool activity. So definitely might and have y'all do it, see what y'all come up with. So definitely be safe, care, and we will see y'all next week.